Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email us, Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase, pricing, and availability questions regarding this watch. Today, we're discussing a 2022 model year limited edition of 191 pieces in ceramic, steel, and titanium from Montblanc. This is the 1858 Iced Sea Automatic Diver. Now, as much as the metal fan in me wishes this were called the Iced Earth, I will make sense of the name of the watch. There is an iced sea, and it is hinted at by the dial. So the watch is fairly easy to wear at 41 millimeters in diameter by 13.1 thick. It's 51 millimeters from lug tip to lug tip, but there is a downward curvature to the lug profiles. When you add the end links to the bracelet, it's 53.3 from side to side, and it has a 20 millimeter spacing between the lugs. We'll open up this clasp, throw it on my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference, and this watch, which is definitely not called the Iced Earth, is a nice fit. Now, it's broad. Don't be deceived by the thinness of it. At 13.1 millimeters, it's one of the thinnest divers I've seen in a while, but it does have quite a wingspan. The curvature of the lugs, which is downward and rather dramatic, means it melds to the wrist effectively. So if your wrist is my size or larger, 16 centimeters circumference or more, this watch will wear well and very comfortably. The bracelet and the clasp are incredibly solid. There's very, very little side-to-side play in this bracelet, comparable to something in the true luxury range, like a Blancpain X71 or Chopard's bracelet on the Alpine Eagle. This really feels tough. And it's got a lot of features. You can see there's a pull tab release on the bottom. So the quick release mechanism is in the bracelet, which means once the bracelet's been removed with the end link, you've got a conventional 20 millimeter lug spacing that'll take conventional 20 millimeter straps. You're not locked into using a proprietary strap or bracelet since the QR system is in the bracelet itself. Now it tapers down from the integrated link towards the clasp. You could see satin profile, staggered link size, staggered link alignment, staggered link finish on the top. We have removable links fixed by screws, which is the way it should always be done on a luxury product. We have several removable links that do give you a little bit of flexibility. And then you can see inside the clasp, you have a trigger-actuated incremental slider, which gives you approximately 1 centimeter, maybe 11, 12 millimeters total of incremental adjustable range. So you can pull it out all the way to use it on top of a dive suit, or you can use one increment to fine-tune the fit. But it's a good-looking clasp. It's got a thick-gauge steel single swing arm. Close that up. It's got twin trigger release, so you have to press both of them to open it. One's not enough. It's very secure. You want that in a marine environment. You drop your dive watch, you're not getting it back. I think that Montblanc made the right choice by eliminating the crown guards. They're so rarely necessary, and they can impede your access to the crown. So generally, if you imagine this watch on the wrist and something happens that's so violent, the impact reaches the crown, I've probably lost my hand. So the practical element of not having a crown guard, in my opinion, outweighs the very, very small possibility that the lack of a crown guard could lead to damage. We could see the Montblanc cap on the crown. Now, Montblanc has two different manufacturing sites for its watches. One is Le Loc, which is its primary factory, and it is its factory. These are not subcontracted. And Le Loc can make about 100,000 watches a year. Then there is Villeret, which is Minerva, which makes a few hundred movements a year. The Le Loc factory is, I would say it's comparable to something like a Breitling in terms of scale and capability. And you can see that the case is solidly mainstream luxury. I would compare it to something like a Tudor or a Breitling. In terms of its thickness, it's actually quite a bit thinner than your average dive watch. That's because it uses a relatively thin base movement. In this case, it uses a Sellita SW200, which is only 4.25 millimeters thick. We've got polished bevels. We've got satin case flank. It is a screw-down crown. The watch is 300 meters water resistant. We have a sort of hybrid knurling where the recesses are matte finished, but the outer faces are polished. Makes it very easy to grip this bezel, which is 60 click and extremely chunky. It's got a very positive feeling and sounding detent. Line up with the minute hand. We have here an unconventional use of cathedral hands on a diver, but they give you a big platform for luminescence, so it's an easy watch to read in the dark. Let's go back there. And you can see in the dark, all three hands are loomed, which is the way it should be. You should know if your dive watch is running, if you're diving at night or in the depths. And then you've got a large luminescent pearl on the bezel you can use as a timing reference. Taking a quick look at the bezel itself, you can see there are two different colors. One is sort of a I would say a dark teal, and then we have a more conventional blue. So this is a ceramic insert, so it's very scratch resistant. The dial features a gratte type pattern. So it is a scraped texture on its lowest level, which is the base. And then on top of that, there's this lustrous, translucent blue lacquer that gives it a dramatic look, almost like shards of ice on top of the actual Montblanc glacier. So you can see on the reverse side, the case back of the watch is made of titanium, and it is laser ablated. So if you're familiar with the Omega Seamaster Aquaterra World Timer and its laser ablated titanium chart or projection, this is created using the same technology. So all the color as well as the imagery created by lasers. And so we have laser ablation of a case back, which is titanium, not just the center, but also the reverse. So if you do have a nickel allergy, that'll keep it from contact with the top of your wrist. You can see this part of the 1858 collection, that this is a limited edition, and this is one of 191. You see Montblanc right there, a little bit more of a realistic depiction than the logo of the brand itself. Of course, 300 meters does not equate to 1,000 feet. Close, but not quite. But everyone does it. Rolex says it's okay, so it can pass. Taking a quick look, you can see that we have this iced sea logo. That refers to the glacier that sits on the actual mountain Mont Blanc. Now, the watch uses an SW200 base, which is Salida's version of the ageless ETA 28242, so bidirectional automatic winding. We have both a hacking seconds function and a quick set date, 4 Hertz beat rate, 26 pivot joules, 38-hour power reserve, bidirectional winding, and tested for 500 hours, courtesy of the Montblanc 500-hour test, which is a 500-hour test of the fully assembled watch before it leaves the factory. It's just an extra level of quality assurance that goes into the evaluation of the watch as a fully assembled watch, not as a bare movement as with the COSC, but this is a fully assembled test that attests to the quality of the timepiece as you receive it. So chronometry, yes, but also water resistance, winding efficiency, power reserve, and overall durability. That is the Montblanc 500-hour test. If you love this watch, reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.